Hey everybody, this is Mike Jones again from Texas, the cop, retired cop from Texas.
G'day, Mike. I'm Pete, the retired cop from New South Wales, Australia.
Hey Peter, good to see you again, brother.
Was mate, yeah, fantastic to see you, Mike.
Oh man,
So happy Thanksgiving for yesterday.
yeah, thank
It's
you,
a
thank
pretty
you.
pretty big deal over there. You have a big feed or a lot of food to eat.
Yeah,
Oh, that's great.
yeah, it's the only excuse once a year. Well, I guess twice a year because we do it for Christmas too. That we can just eat as much as we can and take a nap.
And is that when you have turkey?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we didn't have turkey this year, but that's traditionally that's what
Mm,
what we have, what people have. But we had ham, so I mean, I think that's a
mm,
suitable substitute or a well-known substitute for turkey is
I don't know.
ham on Thanksgiving.
Can I tell you something about King Island? One day I'm going to photograph it for you and send it to you. King Island
Okay,
has American turkeys here.
okay,
They used to farm a long time ago. Someone commercially farmed turkeys, and they just run wild now. They're just on the side of the road in paddocks, and I'm talking about flocks of 10 or 20 just in paddocks. Every time I see one, I think I should stop and send it to Mike. But we have apparently really high, because they've just been here for decades and decades. They're very
yeah,
what's the word? A high strain of American turkeys. Anyway, I'll
wow.
send it to you
Well,
one
I
day.
didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not
the funny thing is back, a couple of decades ago, people got into raising ostriches, and they were selling these big old ostrich eggs to restaurants. And it
ah,
was, everybody that it was just bougie, people
yeah.
just had to go get them an ostrich egg. And it was a big industry. Then
Mm.
people decide, hey, I don't need an ostrich egg
Yeah.
anymore. So everybody
Yeah.
that, had these so the farmers, they didn't know what to do with these birds. So they
Oh.
let them out.
Ah,
And so,
okay.
and so as a police officer, we'd get calls,
Oh.
back in 1990s, early 2000, we'd get calls about these stinking birds, and we'd have, and they're mean as hell too. You
Oh,
know,
mate,
you,
I can imagine. I mean, we have a smaller version here called an emu,
yeah, yeah.
EMU. And I've been at a zoo. There's a zoo in Dubbo where I was once stationed, sitting there eating a sandwich, and one of my nephews was next to me.
Uh-huh.
Emu just come over his shoulder and just took the sandwich out of his hand. They're not friendly.
Oh man, yeah. You just want to grab them by the neck.
Yeah. Yeah, for a while here, there was I think alpacas were the same sort of thing here.
Yeah.
Had to have alpacas, Now, I don't know what they're worth, but once upon a time, they were like around maybe $30,000 each. But then, yeah, the backside falls out of the market. No one wants them
You
anymore.
could give one away today.
Yeah, that's what probably the turkeys are here. But anyway, I'll photograph one and I'll
Yeah,
send it to you. Um,
yeah, man. That'd be awesome.
so what do you
Yeah.
think?
So go ahead.
What do you think today we talk about? I know there's been quite a number of questions, and one of them that's been brought to our attention is pursuits, car pursuits. Would you like to talk about that this
Oh,
morning?
pursuits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pursuits. Yeah.
Well, what is y'all's policy? What was New South Wales police? Did y'all have a pursuit policy?
And yeah, we did. It's probably it would vary. Back in my time in the police, the New South Wales Police was divided up into commands, local area commands. It's changed now, but essentially it's probably the same. But I know that one of the commands I worked in, there was a separate policy, and which forbade pursuits in certain areas of Dubbo. That was in Dubbo. That was called that's where the command was, and you weren't allowed to pursue a car in a certain part of Dubbo. Once the car entered that part of town, the pursuit was over. But generally speaking, from what I've seen on YouTube, our pursuit policy is way more lax or curtailed than what yours would be.
Yeah.
Um, within the New South Wales Police, there's an internal licensing system, and it goes bronze, silver, and gold. And the vast majority of police was silver certified, which meant that you spent a week at the academy learning how to drive. They teach you everything from reverse park to driving like a lunatic or driving very fast. Anyway, the so but this gold certification was someone that would supervise a pursuit. Once you started a pursuit, you had to get on the radio, Dubbo 15 in pursuit. And from that point on, someone was monitoring the pursuit. And you say, my partner would give the traffic conditions, and immediately you'd say, I'm silver certified. But the person with gold certification, once they said terminate pursuit, that was the end of it. No ifs, buts, or maybes. And we were told, do a U-turn and go the other way.
Yeah,
Just so you
yeah,
weren't, because your adrenaline gets going and you want to keep going. But
yeah. Yeah, and plus you just running around 200 other people with your lights and sirens, and all of a sudden you just turn everything off. It's confusing for them. So
yeah,
it's better to, like your command was saying, just turn around and go the other way.
yeah,
Then it's less confusing for the people that
yeah.
are on the outside looking in.
Yeah,
Don't you agree?
that's a really good point, Mike. I hadn't thought
Yeah,
about that. Yeah.
yeah.
But I mean,
So
the
when I
vast,
was,
just the vast majority of the time, I agreed with that termination of pursuit. I don't want to kill somebody or have someone
yeah,
severely injured. I mean, if the person that I was pursuing was an armed robber or had some or had some really serious reason to get them, but if it was just a stolen car, who cares? Claim your insurance on it. I don't want to pursue you and end up in a crash.
yeah, I totally agree. I think most people don't understand the weight of our badge, So I think you just kind of highlighted it without even realizing, because that's just how you worked your whole career. We talked about it before with shooting somebody.
Yeah.
We got to worry where that bullet's going to go.
Mm, mm,
Let's say it goes through this person, we got to know where it's going to go because we're responsible for
mm,
collateral damage as well.
mm, mm,
Same way with pursuits.
mm,
You so when I was a patrolman, when I worked for a department, then we had a pursuit policy, and I worked two different places before I was a constable, and both of those places their policies were different.
mm.
But in Texas we have what's called a continuous force or a use of force continuum.
All
I
right.
almost forgot. Yeah. So it was graduated.
Mm-hmm.
If a person, I'm going to use the pursuit as an example.
Mm-hmm.
So if it was we ran, we tried to pull over somebody for a traffic in infraction, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't pull over, and it turned into a pursuit.
Mm-hmm.
We had to be able to justify, uh, why we were going to put the community at risk.
Yeah.
Why we
Yeah.
were gonna,
Mm.
right. So are we going to risk, hurting somebody's family
Mm.
because this person ran a stop sign?
Yeah.
No.
Who
You know
cares?
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if the person committed rape or
Yeah. Mm.
in we're gonna, I don't care. This is what's gonna happen. We're gonna till we run out of gas or you're on the side of the street,
Yeah.
we're gonna continue with the pursuit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's because of the elevation of what constitutes it's a felony murder.
Uh, uh,
Let's just say it's murder.
uh,
You can't let that person get away. You can't
yeah.
let them get away.
One night, Mike, we were pursuing a car, and I know that in the United States you have valiants, and the reason I know that is I was watching an episode once of Everybody Loves Raymond, and his father had
Oh
a
yeah.
Valiant, and Valiant, and I was really really keen to see what the Valiant looked like because I've owned a Valiant, and it's very very
Yeah.
different to our Valiants. They're made by Chrysler. Anyway, this particular night we were chasing a Valiant. They're a big old car, huge
Hmm.
engines, and we were pursuing it along this really lonely country road, and it what we call blew up. Yeah, the radiator got hot and the engine seized up and had steam and smoke and anyway, so we took the bloke back to the station and I can't remember what we charged him with, but he went to court and I just happened to be in court the day that he went to court to plead guilty. And I watched him walk in and when he walked in, He had a really nice clothes. Yeah, he obviously borrowed it because he was quite a tall fellow, and everything was ill fitting. But when he walked out, I saw the back of his shoes were cut out because he couldn't fit his feet in the
Oh
shoes.
man,
So
man.
I remember thinking, the magistrate's probably thinking he looked all right on the way in, on the way out, he just looked terrible.
It's it's funny. I had a guy come to court one time and he forgot his glasses, but his mother came with him and she was
Oh
an
no.
elderly woman. And she had those old glasses that kind of came into a point, from the 60s.
Yeah.
So he's up there trying he's representing himself, which is dumb,
Oh,
but he's talking to the jury with his mother's glasses on. The kind that's got the is the like glitter on them, and he'd used the restroom right before that, and his zipper was undone, and half of his shirt was untucked, and he was just acting like he was the best lawyer in the world. It was so stinking funny, and we had to keep our face away from looking at the jury because we didn't want to sway the jury because we thought it
yeah.
was funny. So
Do
yeah,
you have the
but
expression? Do you have the expression over there when someone's representing themselves, they say that they've got a fool for a client?
yeah, a
Yeah,
fool for a lawyer. Yeah, absolutely. And it's true.
yeah,
Even
it's true,
lawyers
all
won't
right.
represent themselves.
It's always
But
funny. Mm,
yeah, so I've been in several pursuits.
mm,
We were in a pursuit one night. So our county, and I don't know if y'all have counties or what, but
no.
our county uh borders Dallas County. We're 20 miles from Dallas.
No.
And Dallas County has a no pursuit policy.
Wow,
You,
that's
you know,
interesting.
oh yeah, no pursuit policy. They don't care what it is. No pursuit policy.
Wow, ah, I'm surprised.
But yeah, it's just political. But
Mm,
in our county, we do have a pursuit policy, and it's what I just told you. It depends on if it's like you said, if there's no traffic,
mm,
uh, then you go ahead and pursue the person. But when if you're going through school zones or you're getting close to population, it's
mm,
not worth it. Just, there'll be another day,
mm,
to get this person, unless they've committed a crime that is worthy of making sure you do everything to stop them. But
mm.
we got in the pursuit of this motorcycle one time, and man, he run us all over our county. He was in one of those racing motorcycles,
Oh,
and man, he could go from 0 to 100 in about half a second, it seemed like.
mm,
But we just dogged him and kept on him and kept on him, and we couldn't get any closer to him.
ah,
And it was at nighttime, about 2 o'clock in the morning, no traffic in the
mm.
county, but he just kept running from us. And finally, he pulls over to the side of the road, and we all, dog pile on him, and he'd run out of gas, is what had happened. We didn't catch him because we were just great police officers. We caught him because the idiot forgot to put gas in his tank, before he run from the police. And
Yeah.
he's while we're putting him in cuffs, he's hollering, you have a no pursuit policy. We're like, we're not Dallas. He thought he was in Dallas County and he thought
Oh,
they had no pursuit policy.
oh,
And
that's
he so he because criminals are stupid, man, and it's
yeah,
it's fun.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it is. Another bush lawyer.
yeah, yeah. He said, "Well, y'all don't have a pursuit policy." Oh, yeah, we do, and you're going to jail.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was
We had
funny, man.
one night in Dubbo, we had for a particular period of time in Dubbo, there was a lot of cars being stolen. And so we would often get into pursuits with them. But this particular night, the car that had been stolen was owned by a gun dealer. And I don't think he'd committed any offences, but in the boot of his car, he had gunpowder. I think he also had gunpowder for muzzle loading firearms. So
Yeah,
black powder, pretty explosive stuff. Anyway, and what was happening, Mike, is that when these cars were being stolen, they would just joyride them and they would go to this particular part of town where a lot of bad people lived, and they would just do circle work, smoke the tires up, and then just abandon the car. Then to destroy any DNA evidence, they would set it on fire.
right.
So
Yeah,
when we found out this car, it had actually been used in a break and enter in another town about 60, 70 kilometres away. And so we were told, do not pursue it. because sorry, if they get into this particular part of town, don't be anywhere near it when they set fire to it because there's gunpowder in the boot. And fortunately, it was one of those really rare times, and maybe the grace of God, that he actually ran out of fuel on his way into Dubbo, within the outskirts of Dubbo, and he just left it there. He
Oh
had to set
yeah.
fire because he didn't know. If he had known, he would have got the gunpowder out for sure. But the boot
Oh
was full
man.
of gunpowder.
When you say so not just gunpowder laying around, he had it stashed
Yeah, he
where
had
he would.
canisters,
Oh,
canisters of
oh, oh,
gunpowder.
oh.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I used to have a I used to have a muzzle loading gun when I was a kid, and it came
Yeah,
with
I
a
got one
canister.
up on the wall right here.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it
Hold
came
on just
with
a second.
canisters of gunpowder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh wow, beautiful. Now,
Yeah.
that's a percussion, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a percussion. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's a
nice.
so my father built this.
Oh my
He's
goodness.
he's passed away now, but
Oh, that's fantastic.
isn't that nice? So
What
I
caliber is
hang it up
that?
here.
What
What's
caliber?
that?
What caliber?
It's man, I think it's a 45.
Yeah, I was going to say it'd have to be 40 something.
Yeah, there we go.
Mm,
It's a yeah, 45.
beautiful. Fantastic.
Black. The company is called uh oh, it's sold by Sears and Roebuck back in the day.
Oh, yeah, I
That's
know
how
that. Yeah, they were just, they sold everything, didn't they?
yeah. Yeah, and it was black powder only.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
He still got the got the rod. And
Mm,
I know he fired. I've never fired it. My dad's passed on,
yeah,
and I got all his rifles as well. Man, I got
beautiful.
stinking a room full of rifles. You know how it is, but
Mm,
um, he was particularly happy with that one.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I've been told that with the old squirrel rifle that you could shoot something like a rabbit in the eye at hundreds of yards away. You know, they were really, really long barrels
yeah.
because
That
the powder burns so slow, they needed the
yeah,
long barrel for the powder to have all its oomph to push the projectile out. Yeah,
yeah. And that's probably. I mean, you saw how long that thing was.
yeah. And I think that's the reason why the barrel's so long because oh, that's
See
right.
how long? Look at that.
Wow.
It's
That's
heavy.
now I know why they're so accurate. The end of the muzzle's not that far away from the target.
That's right. If you can't hit them with the round, the ball, I guess you can just club the hell out of them.
Yeah.
You know.
Did you really
Um,
have you got your pistol there this morning?
I don't tell Wade. Give me 5 seconds. I'm gonna
Righto.
run and get it right
Yeah,
quick.
righto.
All right, you here? You still here?
Righto.
Let me uh let me unload it before I shoot myself in the hand here. Because I don't know how y'all carried the weapon. We always carried one in the chamber. I
Yeah, oh
still
yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah. And no safety
There it is,
catch.
buddy.
My goodness. That is
Let me
a
show you my hand.
yeah, wow.
See
Yeah.
why I unloaded it?
Yeah.
But look,
Nice.
that's how
Wow.
big it is.
Wow. And is it all metal, Mike?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, this is plastic right here,
Yeah, the
but
green.
it's like a Glock.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Ah,
the slide, the slide is all metal right here.
mm.
What is that? You see how
Oh,
that's how big it is.
yeah.
And, and what I do is but if you put your hand,
Yeah.
now
Beautiful.
look how you see
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And
So,
then keep it in my front pocket in that. And when I go to pull it out, if I have to pull it out, that will catch on my pocket. And
oh,
so
I
just
didn't
the
know
gun,
it had a holster. Right.
yeah,
Okay.
just a
Yeah.
little bitty holster, little bitty magazine,
Yeah.
6 rounds. but I
How
keep
many?
one in the chamber.
Yeah, right.
Six.
Nice. Yeah. Beautiful.
And that adds a little bit of length to it.
Oh, yeah, right.
See, but it's still,
Oh,
if
yeah.
you notice,
Yeah. That's a nice looking pistol.
it is, and it's got a hell of a kick on it too.
Is
It'll
that the
try to
safety
come out of
catch?
your.
Is that the safety catch just near your thumb?
No, there's no safety.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Oh,
just like a Glock, I mean,
mm.
there's no external deal. So the safety is built into this
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah,
trigger. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Who needs a
nice.
safety, man?
Yeah, that's right.
You gotta
Yeah,
live life.
yeah. When we got our Glocks, because the New South Wales Police went from a 38 Smith and Wesson to a Glock, and when they got the Glock, some of the police used to call it the Tupperware gun. I don't know if you know what Tupperware is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, oh, they
Plastic.
used to call it
Yeah,
because there's so much plastic in it. They call it the Tupperware gun.
that's smart. Yeah. I went from a 1911. The old World War II 1911 45 caliber is what I
No,
used
I'm
to
not
carry.
familiar with it. No.
I'll show it to you someday.
Mm,
But it's a big heavy gun that you could knock somebody out with that thing.
mm,
But
mm,
it only held, and I'm going by memory now, but I think 18 rounds. And then when I went to the Glock, I was kind of apprehensive because I've carried it for so long.
hmm.
And I really, really like that Glock, that 40 caliber Glock.
Yeah.
It yeah,
One of
yeah,
the things about it is it fits so flat in your hand, and you can use your
yeah,
natural pointing, um, aiming by because we rarely use the sights.
yeah,
So yeah, because with the revolver, it sits bulky in your hand. It's not flat. The Glock was a huge improvement.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
I never carried a revolver. And
no,
I was,
no, neither
yeah,
did I. I was the very first class in New South Wales, so that was in 1998 or 97 to get the
yeah.
Glock. Because I think I told you the story before that my brother-in-law was murdered. He was a policeman, and him and another policeman were murdered. And part of the coroner's inquest found, or part of his findings, was that the pistol, the 38 revolver, was inadequate, and it certainly was. Only
Yeah.
6 rounds, another 6 rounds on the belt. Well, we all got the Glocks, 15 rounds, and another 15 rounds in their magazine on the belt.
Oh
So,
yeah.
huge
We
improvement.
yeah, we did the same thing. We carried one magazine in the pistol, and then we had two magazines on.
Wow.
Always
Mm,
had a double magazine
mm,
pouch, and
mm.
then we had, on our vest that we carried, we'd have uh, two magazines of AR-15 rounds. Six. We
Wow.
call. Yeah, we carried assault rifles too. So,
Yeah.
uh, oh yeah,
Oh, that's
I
fantastic.
mean,
It's a huge difference to hear. So, um, going back to the pursuit question, one of the things that we have is called a power. It's a power to ask the registered owner who was the driver at a particular time. So let's just say that I lent my car to somebody and they drive my
mhm.
car and they go into town and they do a burnout in town. And the police see it. Well, it doesn't even have to be the police. Someone can see it, say, oh, I saw this car, registration ABC 123. And so the police can then say, oh, that belongs to Peter Gillette. They can come to me and I have to tell them then and there who was driving the car at that particular time. I have to
You
tell them.
have to.
Yep.
Mm.
If I don't, I get charged. It's a criminal matter. So
Yeah, no,
that's another thing behind. So a lot of times when people misbehaving in their cars, they try and say, "Oh no, my car was stolen."
yeah,
Yeah,
they do that here.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You
you
have
go
any
to
power like that?
no, I think you guys are a little bit more stricter on, or maybe more lax on how you do some things. We have a strong constitutional uh, that we have to follow, right?
Mm,
And so we can't force somebody to incriminate themselves.
mm,
You know what I'm saying? So we'd have to investigate that out and try to find um, we can't force somebody to tell us anything. You
mm,
know,
mm,
Again, it could. if it could incriminate them, they allowed somebody to use their car or
mm,
whatever.
mm,
Well,
mm.
we don't have the power to force them to tell us
No.
that.
Yeah, it's
We
very
could,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah, we could develop the case and then go get a warrant on it, and then the person, we just tell the court through our report what we thought was the facts of the case,
Mm,
and then allow that the owner to present his facts of the case, and let a jury figure it out that way. But we can't compel them
mm,
to 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 ride out somebody else, and we
mm,
can't we can't hold them accountable for somebody else's actions unless we can prove
mm,
culpability.
mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit different, just
It
like
seems that
your go ahead.
it just seems that in some ways we're more strict in some ways, and then way less strict in others. Uh,
Yeah,
between Texas and New South Wales.
yeah, we follow the Constitution,
Mm,
especially if we were elected.
mm,
We raise our right hand and we're going to follow the Constitution, and a lot of that has individual rights
okay.
embedded in that Constitution.
All right. Yeah.
Just because we wear a badge doesn't mean we can violate those rights, and we shouldn't.
Mm,
Uh, so I mean, we find other ways to work through that
mm,
deal, but we're not going to. I don't want to force somebody to tell me something out of duress or um, something that's going like again that's going to incriminate them.
mm,
They need to have their lawyer, and you know what I'm saying.
mm,
Um,
mm.
you know how it is. We know who did it, but we had to prove it.
Yeah. There's been times when I've known that a person has the one I have in mind. They were committing break and enter offences at preschools in my area.
Mhm.
Now I knew that they were doing it, but I didn't have any. I didn't have enough to charge them.
Yeah,
But when I caught them doing something else, it was a traffic matter. They got an infringement notice, and
yeah, yeah.
well, I think it was when was it Al Capone that they couldn't get on racketeering or murder or that, but they got him
They
on
got them on
tax
tax
evasion.
evasion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's more or less the policy I had. If I
yeah,
couldn't
and
get
I
you on
think
something else, then you're going to go down for this other thing.
yeah, and sometimes I mean, I don't know how cool that is. Sometimes you're like, well, I know you're guilty of something, so what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, I never took any of these cases personally, and
Mm,
I think
mm,
that's how I operated. That person didn't break. We call it burglary of a habitation.
mm, mm,
You call it breaking and entering.
mm.
Um, that person not doing it against me. He's doing it against the victim.
Yeah.
So I try to be neutral and just follow the facts and
Mm,
and do that way. Sometimes my personality wants me to say this guilty son of a bitch. You know, I, you know, I know he did it, and you
uh,
want to take a rubber hose to him and get the truth out of him,
mm.
but my integrity won't let me do it.
I used to, I used to do the same thing if I um, were dealing with a drug dealer. If they had a bald tire, then they got an
Yeah,
infringement notice. If I can't
yeah.
prove anything else, then I thought, well, you got to pay your tax somehow or other. You may as well just hand the government some money for having driving around bald tires. You know.
Hey,
Uh,
let me ask you this, Peter. This infringement thing. So you call it infringement, we call it a citation. Same thing, from
mm,
what I gathered.
mm,
Let's say let's go back to the bald tire thing. Let's say the government says if you have a bald tire, the infringement amount would be $100. Let's
mm,
just keep this simple, right? In same way with here in Texas, let's just say that. Now, when they go to court and they let's say they plead guilty or no contest, and they just want to pay their fine and go about their business,
mm,
that money doesn't go to our county or our police department. It goes to the state,
mm,
and then state divvies it up however they see fit. It's way over my head, and
mm,
and even but so. when people say you got a quota, you know, they don't realize that all the money, literally every single penny that comes from infringements or comes from citations
Mm,
gets shipped out. It
mm.
doesn't stay there, so it's not like
Yeah,
we're not going to get brand new police lights,
yeah,
none of that. So
yeah.
we never had a quota, and it's illegal to have a quota here. What about New Southwest? Did y'all
Oh
have
no,
a,
it's an oft repeated claim that police have quotas. It doesn't exist.
yeah,
I mean, I've never heard of it. I've never seen it done. No. In fact, I've almost heard the opposite. I had some information about within the highway patrol part of the police. One of the police was being a bit too keen. Said, mate, slow up. You're making us look bad. So I've almost seen the opposite.
yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't want it like that anyway. I mean, I don't want to be the head on. I don't want to. No, that's just not right. No, and it doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't exist.
Mm.
I know there's people that think that, some leadership may say they want to see more activity. They look at your
Oh yeah.
the mileage,
Mm,
and some officers might, interpret that to mean, okay, I need to write more tickets. I
mm,
only wrote, they used to put up on the board every month how many, Mike wrote this many tickets, Mike had this many arrests, Mike, you know,
mm,
you, and then how many felonies, how many fugitives,
mm,
whatever. They would put that on the board every month just as an
mm,
activity sheet.
mm,
And you could see where some people didn't have any, my tickets were real, real low. In the last 5 years before I retired, I didn't even write a ticket.
mm,
You know, I
mm,
stopped people for doing, for not doing what they should be doing, but I didn't write them a ticket.
mm,
I mean,
mm.
you delay somebody that's going to work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. One of the I think one of the things that I think I might have mentioned it before, where we had to write a ticket at a particular kind of a crash, or where a crash where you needed a tow truck to remove a car. Well, one
Hmm.
of the times I went to, it was in an industrial area, where where I was working, and a car, a sedan, had driven up the back of a tabletop truck. And at the back of the tabletop truck, it comes down like that, and the bonnet of the car had driven up underneath it, and and got stuck. So the front of the bonnet got stuck underneath this tabletop truck, and they couldn't separate. And it was looking like, needing a tow truck to pull them apart. Once you got a tow truck, someone's going to get an infringement notice for negligent driving. And I'm looking, and they're both decent blokes, you know. It's just a moment of inattention. I
Yeah.
looked around and said, mate, over there, there's a forklift over there in that factory. If you went up there and you just asked him, mate, would you just be able to come down here and just lift the truck up? You only got to lift the truck up about an inch. I can drive my car out. And I said, if you do that, there's going to be no infringement notice. So he went up. He said, yeah, I can do that. Easy done.
Hmm.
Because
Yes, yeah.
yeah, you got to be kind and thoughtful, and find ways around. Because otherwise, it's just illegal. It's just been very legal about it.
Yeah.
Legal.
So why do you have to ride? What do you know what the reason was behind having to ride
Yeah, well,
in the,
there was five categories that made. There was only minor and major motor vehicle collisions. Didn't matter if
Hmm.
someone died. It was still called even just if. But one of the categories to make it a major crash, one was that alcohol or drugs were involved. Two was that the people didn't exchange particulars about their registration and license details. Three, someone was injured. Four was that they needed a tow truck. Um,
Hmm.
I can't think of the fifth one, but once that happened, if you needed any one of those things, then the police had to investigate it, and someone would get an infringement notice.
So let me. So we had tow trucks as well. I mean, obviously, uh, and I know our insurance is different than you guys. You and I discussed this in one of our episodes.
Yeah.
Um, but somebody also in the comments set me straight and said, "Hey, we pay for our registration, part of that is insurance, I guess for you know, to be used to fix vehicles in crash. I think kind of how they were conveying it to me. So
Mm.
there's a you still have insurance. It's just different. Is that correct? Is that
No,
how
not
you?
no, no. I remember that comment. What it was is that your insurance covers comprehensive insurance, what we would call comprehensive insurance. It doesn't
Yeah.
include that in Australia. All it does is if I run into somebody and they get injured, like physically injured, the
Hmm.
insurance covers that. It doesn't cover the damage to their car. I have to have
What covers?
comprehensive insurance to cover myself running into somebody and damaging their property, their car. So it's not no, it's not the same. We can have insurance, but your insurance covers damage to their vehicle, for example.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the case here. You have to have that a
So then,
private thing.
oh, it's a private deal. So they could they could sue the person that,
Yeah.
let's
Mm.
say,
Yeah.
and then the court would award whatever party,
Yeah.
I guess money to fix their car, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because so what I was getting at is on the tow truck thing that we're discussing here with the accidents.
Mm.
If it was an accident and both cars needed to be towed, we
Mm.
would call dispatch and tell dispatch send the next rotational truck, tow truck, which means there's a list of tow truck companies in dispatch, and
Mm-hmm.
they go, right down the list. Okay, the last people we used was this
Yeah.
company,
Mm.
so the next one is this company, and they'd send that tow truck out.
Mm.
But it would be up to the other people's insurance to pay for that tow truck. In other words, the police department didn't pay for the tow truck. That was on the people that
Mm.
were in the accident.
Mm. Oh,
So
yeah.
the tow, what's that?
Same here.
Okay.
Mm.
So what would happen here is after the cars got towed to the tow yard, then they would get a hold of their insurance companies and tell them, hey, I was in an accident. There's a police report, that will be available within 10 days. And my car's located at ABC company here in Texas. And
Mm.
then the insurance company would then contact the tow truck and they would settle up with them. There would be storage fees, tow fees,
Mm.
things of that nature.
Mm.
And usually whatever insurance company was at fault, whatever driver was at fault, their insurance company would cover that cost for both vehicles.
Mm.
And as far as the repairs, it would be the same.
Mm. Righto.
But what we run into is people that don't have insurance.
Mm.
So if there's no money there to fix the car, that this person
Mm.
created a crash, then it becomes a criminal offense.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, well, see, I own three vehicles. One's that old Holden, but and that's insured. But I have a much as far as our everyday vehicles, my wife's got a pretty old Toyota. We don't have insurance on that. If that gets damaged, in a crash, then I'll just have to buy another one. But my other car, which is a much better car, I had that comprehensive insured.
Hmm.
But I don't. Um, but it's just a matter of what you want to do. It's pretty old car, might not be worth having insurance on. But my really old Holden, that's comprehensively insured. But it's just
Yeah.
a matter. But the other thing I'm not sure about this. I'm pretty sure, but I can't say I'm certain that if someone has a crash, crashes their car, and they're intoxicated and their insurance means nothing. That's what I
Yeah.
believe. Yeah,
Yeah. I think that's the way. I'm like you. I think 99%. If a person here doesn't have a driver's license,
yeah.
then they can't be insured
Uh,
because
mm,
you know you have to be a licensed driver to be able to be on the highway.
yeah. Mm.
So I- I don't get that deep in the weeds on that. I just go by, do you have insurance? And I write down the policy number and all that for the
Yeah.
police report, and then you give it to dispatch and they file it away, and then their insurance companies reach out. After I clear the scene of the accident and do my report, I'm done with it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
But but if I pull somebody over for a traffic violation, we always check the validity of their insurance,
Okay. That's
because it's a
something we
big
wouldn't.
deal.
Yeah, we wouldn't
I,
have any involvement there.
yeah,
Really, sort of like none of our business, so we wouldn't ask about that because, but for you, it was a criminal matter. but for us, it
Yeah.
wasn't. Mm,
Yeah. It's I think it's law in all 50 states too,
mm,
that you have to have at the minimum you have to have comprehensive,
mm.
to protect other people on the highway. Not we have insurance where it won't cover your own car as far as being repaired, but it'll cover the other people's
Oh
car.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. We would
that's
have
just
we
called
would have that
liability.
capacity too. Yeah.
Okay.
But I can remember going to a crash once, Mike, where a bloke ran into a really, really old shop. It was actually a double-story building. And I'm sure you'd have them over there where the second story is held up over the footpath by posts.
Hmm.
There's a veranda up the top. And this bloke was drunk and he ran into these posts, ran into the building, caused extensive damage. Would have been like in the order of $100,000 worth of damage. And this is a long time ago. And he was drunk. I bet he's still paying for it. Because
Yeah.
his
I mean,
insurance meant nothing. Even if he did have insurance, meant nothing.
let me ask you this, Peter. That brings up a good question about y'all. So here there's no such thing as a debtor's prison.
Yeah.
In other words, if
Mm.
you owe somebody $100,000,
Yeah.
it's that's a civil matter. You don't. It's not criminal.
Yeah.
You could
Yeah.
go to your grave owing this guy $100,000.
Mm.
They can go to court and get a judgment against you, but it's just a piece of paper.
Yeah. Yeah.
If
We
you don't
we
have the money,
we used to have that. There was a bloke named Jamie Partlick, and he went into debt, essentially went into prison because he hadn't paid fines. There's a
hmm
prison in Sydney called Parklea Prison, and Jamie Partlick was murdered inside prison simply because he was in there paying for his fines.
yeah.
And that's when they stopped it. They stopped it. You can't go to jail now to pay for your fines.
Yeah. Well, I'm also talking about like this house thing that you were talking about, where
Mm,
the guy ran in the house.
yeah.
You know, you said it's about $100,000.
Mm,
That drunk guy, if he never paid that,
yeah.
does
Mm.
that turn into criminal or is it always going to be civil?
Well, it's always going to be civil. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It
that's the way it
becomes
is here
criminal.
too.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I know that that's probably a different thing, but in New South Wales, if I don't, let's just say I get a fine tomorrow for going through a stop sign, and
Hmm.
I don't pay that fine. Okay, gets ramped up, but eventually they will deregister my car. They will take my driver's license from me. They'll just punish me in other ways
Yeah.
because I haven't paid the fine, but I can't go to jail.
We can. We can put people in jail for not paying their fines. If they don't pay their fine, it turns into a warrant, arrest warrant.
Yeah.
And the next time they're pulled over and the police officer runs that
Mm.
driver's license or that person's name and date of birth and comes
Yeah.
back and says he's wanted for speeding out of Odessa, for instance, then
Yeah.
we take him to jail. But I could see
Uh,
the uproar if you take somebody to jail and then somebody murders that person because he was speeding,
mm,
6 months before or 2 years before, and Odessa didn't have the money to pay his speeding fine, and
mm,
we put his butt in jail,
mm,
and then he gets murdered. Yeah, I would, as a police officer, that would be a hard one to live with, if
mm.
I was the one that put that person in jail.
Yeah, in New South Wales, they're called commitment warrants. And we used to go around, we'd have a list of warrants, and you go around,
Yep.
knock on someone's door. And I remember one in particular, knocked on this
Come with
fellow's
me.
door, and he owed, let's say it was $1,000. Mate, there's a warrant here. And if you had the $1,000, you could just give it to us. We give a receipt. And that was the end of it. And went round to this
Yeah.
fellow's house, and he was pretty cheeky. Said, mate, you owe the Queen $1,000. If you got the $1,000, you know what he said?
Uh,
I'll just go and check. I'll go and
I'm
have
just
a
going.
look. So we we just followed him into his bedroom. He looked on the top of his dressing table. No, mate, I haven't got it. Okay, mate, you come with us then.
Yeah, we used to do what they called probably what you're talking about. It's called a warrant roundup, and
Ah,
once every couple of years we get a whole list of warrants,
yeah,
and
yeah,
we go knock on doors
yeah,
like you're saying, and just to get those warrants cleared out because they stay there forever.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know.
It's I remember locking up one bloke one time. When we say mean arrest, we say lock up. I remember going this. He was a creaky old bugger. and he was on a walking stick. He must have been about 110, and he had an outstanding warrant for something that was like eons ago, maybe decades earlier. I felt
Yeah.
sorry. I thought this is,
I'm not arresting some old man.
but he had
You know,
to because the
when
warrant
we
says,
arrest people, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, the warrant says from the judge, I command you to go and
Yeah.
arrest, Joe Smith. There's no ifs, buts, or maybes. You had to do it.
God, yeah. When I worked for the city police department back in the 90s, we went through a period where the leadership said that, or, the command said, we don't care what it is. If it's a warrant from whatever, we want you to confirm it. So in other words, we would stop somebody. We would call dispatch on the radio, and we would tell them,
Yeah,
either the license number or their date
yeah.
of birth, and
Mm.
the dispatch would run them through the criminal computer, and they would come back and say, okay, you're Joe Smuckatelli, the guy that I got stopped. He's wanted out of let's say Dallas. He's wanted out of Dallas, and we can't just arrest on that. Now we got to say either confirm or don't confirm.
Mm,
So
mm, mm.
so we got to make sure that our dispatch, if we say confirm it, our dispatch has to physically contact Dallas PD
Yes,
dispatch
yes, yes, yeah.
and on the phone and say, "Hey, is this warrant still valid?"
Mm,
And then that person has to go and look in the file and, oh
yeah,
yeah, Joe Smuckatelli, yeah, the warrant's still good.
yeah.
Okay, so then our dispatcher will call us and they'll say, "All right, Dallas has confirmed the warrant.
Mm,
Now we can put the person in custody."
yeah.
But there was a time when our leadership says, we don't care what the warrant's for.
Mm.
If they're wanted, we want you to arrest them. I don't know what the backstory was.
Political.
So it was political for some reason, but we weren't involved
Yeah.
in that political making decision. So we just okay, I mean that's what we're being told to do. And
Mm,
I pulled over a person here in Texas, at least in this area. Dallas, if you go to Dallas to their animal pound, their shelter,
yeah.
and you adopt an animal, you have to have them neutered, spayed, and shots
Mm-hmm.
within like, you know, let's say 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to provide that information to the pound, and
Right.
then that animal is your animal forever, right? Or
Mm.
apparently it turns into criminal too if you don't do it. It's
Wow.
just like you didn't register your car.
Wow.
And so I pulled this person over, and they were wanted out of Dallas. They don't tell us what for, you
Yeah.
know.
Mm,
Not until we confirm the warrant do we know exactly what the warrant's for.
mm,
They might say it's traffic, or they might say it's just a misdemeanor.
mm,
Anyway, she said that this guy was wanted out of Dallas, Dallas County for a misdemeanor warrant, and I told her, I said, well, okay, go ahead and confirm. And
mm,
so I'm talking to this guy on the side of the road, and dispatch says, "Now, once we confirm a warrant,
mm,
we got to act on it because now the other dispatch up in Dallas has already pulled that warrant out
mm, mm.
once we say confirm it.
It was
So
exactly the same. Yeah, for us. Mm,
yeah, so I was gonna they confirmed the warrant. She said, yeah, he's wanted out of Dallas County or Dallas PD for not for an animal shelter warrant for not neutering his dog or something. And I literally took this person's freedom away from him.
mm,
And I was so mad because you know, all but this one little period in time in the late 90s, middle 90s, we always had it was our decision on the street whether we wanted to arrest or
mm,
not arrest.
mm,
And I didn't have that decision authority at that time. And I
mm,
had to take this guy's free, tow his car,
mm,
because I can't leave it on the side of the road and take him to jail
mm,
over this stinking.
mm,
And
mm.
so,
Yeah,
yeah, that
tough.
was just yeah, man, it sucks. How do because we're part of the machine. They're looking
Yeah,
at us like
yeah,
we're just another asshole, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. That's a good way to see it. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
um, I mean, sometimes the law is just brutal. Mm.
It,
Um,
yeah.
I guess, well, I think we've been going about an hour. Is that it?
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
I want to tell you one last one.
Right, yeah.
So I just got out of the academy back in 97.
Uh,
So we have to now ride with a trained officer, a training officer,
yeah.
and so we're really we learn all the laws and all that, but now we're going to have to learn how to apply the law. So
Yeah.
we don't really know what the hell we're doing, right? And
Uh,
so when we get to the police department, what you have to do is you have to check the prisoners that are in there. There might be five guys that have been was arrested the day before, and they haven't bonded out or paid out. So you have to go in and check on them every hour, and make sure they're not dead, because you know how that some of them will kill themselves.
mm,
So when you do that, you have to put your firearm in a lock box
same here.
before you go into the
Yeah.
jail,
Same here.
right?
Yeah.
Y'all probably have to do the same.
Mhm.
And so I did. So that training officer pulled into the Sally Port, where we get out.
Mm,
We go into the secure area. I put my pistol in the lock box. Check the prisoners. I feed them. They have to be fed, 3 times a day. And then I get back with him when we get it back in the car, and we're back out on patrol.
mm.
And he stops at this donut shop because he was an old police officer
Yeah.
with all these old men sitting in this donut shop. He did this every day. That he's passed on now, but so we were sitting in there, and I didn't know anybody. You know, he knew everybody, and I didn't know a single person. And so I was felt really out of. I just felt uncomfortable, and I was listening to them. I didn't know to say this or that because I didn't know anybody. So anyway, he introduced me around. He said, "This is Mike. He's our newest police officer, and he's in training right now." And I think our training period on the street before you're cut loose is was like 3 months. It was a long time. And that one of the old men said, "Oh, really, trainer?" He said, "Well, that explains it." He said, "How long does he have to be in training before he's allowed to carry a pistol?" And he pointed at my holster, and it was empty. I'd
Oh,
left my pistol in the lockbox. And now, and now I know I'm flunking. I know I'm not going to be a police officer. I can't even keep up with my own weapon, you know. And that old police officer sat there and ate a biscuit or a scone
mm,
as slow as humanly possible. I'm just waiting for him to get done so we can go back and get my pistol,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And then I'd be okay and I'd feel
yeah,
comfortable because I felt like an idiot with no
yeah,
pistol.
yeah.
And he ate that thing as slow as humanly possible. And then we get back in the car. Instead of going back to the station to where I
Oh
could get my
no.
pistol, he
Uh,
just slow rolls out on patrol.
oh,
He's like, "Yeah, if we get into the thick of things, you have to use a shotgun back here." And I'm like, God, that was the longest half a day
yeah,
ever. Till we could get back and I could get in there and get my pistol. To
yeah,
this day, or till I retired, every time I went into a
yeah.
where I had to take the pistol out, I locked it in the boot of my car.
Oh,
You
okay.
know,
Righto. Cool. Yeah. Righto.
yeah. I don't know if anything like that ever happened to you.
And sadly, I can say that I've left my pistol in exactly the same thing, uh, and get out into the truck and go, oh my God, where's my pistol? But fortunately, I was in charge and I could go back.
Yeah,
Horrible
yeah.
feeling, yeah, horrible feeling. But
I think every police officer has done that
yeah,
once.
yeah. And
Yeah.
the ones that say they haven't, they're telling lies.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But yeah, that was my and I'd already been a Marine for 21 years by then. I had a lot of
Yeah,
uh
yeah, yeah,
respect and all that, and here I am, this
yeah, yeah,
no different than any other 25-year-old rookie,
yeah,
and I left my pistol
yeah,
in there, so that
yeah.
was quite embarrassed.
Yeah. Oh, well, thanks so
All right,
much
brother.
for our chat today, and we'll look forward to next week. And next week, we just for a bit of a heads up, we might look at the differences in sentences that criminals get. How's that for next time? Between
Yeah, are you talking about far as
criminal sentence,
one guy getting one sentence for the same crime and another guy getting a different
something
sentence
like
for the
that.
same
Yeah,
crime?
I know one
Okay.
person has suggested that as a topic, so I think that's
Okay.
a pretty relevant topic. So
Yeah.
we'll do this for everyone that's watching, and we'll discuss that if you're okay with that, Mike.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I think it's great. I'd rather talk about what these people want to hear from us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah. It's been
to,
fantastic.
to, yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, brother. Good seeing you.
Likewise, brother. Righto.
I'll see
Keep
you.
going,
See you next week.
See you next week. See you, mate. Ta-da.
See you, brother.